Good morning. You're watching the F&O Show on Bloomberg Quint Live, India's first digital live streaming business news service. I'm Navneet Saluja D'Souza.
Good morning, Navneet. I'm Agam Vakil. The top headlines. Indian markets open higher following positive lead from Asian markets. Nifty hovers near 10,600. Mid-cap index trades in line with the frontliners. And open interest in metal stocks surge after traders take fresh positions in their respective futures. And Singapore Stock Exchange will transfer all Nifty and Nifty Bank positions to the new contracts on June 4th to its new products that will be settled every month on publicly available information. And Bharti Airtel is expected to report a quarterly loss for the first time in 5 years. And metal stocks like Hindalco and Vedanta are top losers on the Nifty after aluminium slumped 7% on the LME following softening of the US government's stance on Russian sanctions.
All right, those are the top headlines at this hour. Let's take a look as to what's happening with the futures and options market at this hour. Well, it's been a positive start to this day. We conquered the 10,600 mark in yesterday's session, but Nifty retreated from that resistance mark of 10,630. Let's see if we can close above that mark. That's going to be very important in today's trading session. But most importantly, the India Volatility Index, that's fallen significantly as we speak. That's down almost 7.5%. Remember, 12.5 is a level which majority of the analysts keenly watch out for. And I guess this is the first time in this series that the India VIX has fallen below that mark of 12.5, which is actually a very, very comforting sign for the bulls as we speak. For Bank Nifty, which so far has been underperforming, it's managed to start the day on a very positive note. Bank Nifty currently trades above the mark of 25,000. The April futures trade at a discount of almost 38 points. If you could also pull up the rollover plates, that's going to tell you how the rollovers are shaping up. Remember, as of yesterday, they were below the 3-month average. So Bank Nifty rollover currently stands just somewhere about 16%. In terms of sectoral indices, as Agam highlighted in the headlines, the metal stocks are the ones which are under pressure in today's session. So Nifty Metals Index top sectoral loser. IT seeing some bit of profit booking after seeing a surge in the last few trading sessions. Let me just quickly take you through the most active option strikes in today's trading session. On the call side, we're seeing the 10,600 as well as the 10,700 call strikes witnessing some bit of open interest addition, unwinding surprisingly seen for the 10,500 put strike in today's trade. And also we've seen some addition coming in for the 10,600 put strike. So that's telling you the base probably is shifting from the 10,500 to 10,600. But where will the expiry take place? We'll definitely check with our experts. But if you look at the options data, looks like the index is likely to consolidate around the current levels. And what did the FIs do in yesterday's session? Well, they entered this expiry week by buying some bit of protection. So if you look at yesterday's trading data, they bought a lot of put longs. Almost 18,000 contracts were added on that front, Agam.
Well, there you have it. Let's also take a look at some of these stocks which are, well, looking at some substantial activity in trade. And I reckon we will continue to have a lot of these IT stocks on the list, followed by, well, metal stocks. So NIT Technologies, which has been on uptrend over the past few sessions, is looking at a bout of profit taking now. Its underlying is down by as much as nearly 2% with a rise of 15% in open interest. Hindalco and Nalco on expected lines, looking at considerable weakness there. Each of these counters losing out well over 8% with an addition of open interest towards shorts. And Tata Motors shows up while there is very little change in the cash markets for its price, especially the DVR. There has been a surge of as much as 12% in open interest. That said, let's also take a look at those stocks which are looking at substantial declines. Do remember, it is expiry week, so we will start getting a larger numbers in terms of unwinding in the April futures, and Cholamandalam is right at the top. It's followed by Chennai Petrol. Balrampur Chini, of course, the beneficiary of the government subsidies when it comes to the sugar industries as a whole, is looking at short covering coming along. IDBI Bank and Power Grid, among others, which are looking at some amount of declines as far as this open interest goes. But on the whole, continue to keep an eye on Indian IT stocks as well as metal counters with an exposure to aluminium. Naveen.
Well, that's right. We'll be watching out for all those stocks. But before we get our guest in the show, here is a reminder for you all. If you have any queries in the futures and options market, you can call us now on 022-4540-4141. You can also write to us, in fact, on our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and also the ones who are watching us on YouTube. You can write your queries on that platform as well. But do not forget to put that all-important hashtag of AskPQ. Well, let's welcome our F&O experts then. Sameet, Chavan of Angel Broking and Amit, Shah of BOB Capital Markets are right here with us. Good morning to both of you, gentlemen, and appreciate you joining us today on Bloomberg Quinn. Amit, let me come to you first. Expiry week, 10,600 is where, Nifty is currently trading somewhere close to that level. And we've been talking to a lot of analysts and technical analysts. They've been mentioning 10,630 is a key resistance mark. Yesterday, we touched that mark. We retreated from those levels. So what's the sort of range that you're watching out at least till Thursday?
Right, so 630, 640 is a critical resistance zone where we have seen since the February series when market was sliding down, that was retested a couple of times and it couldn't cross those levels. So that remains as a key hurdle. Yesterday's high was, again, market reacted from those levels. So unless until 640 is not crossed, I believe market will continue to remain in the range, where on the downside 500 would now act as a key support. If we see since the start of the April series where market has been forming a higher top, higher bottom formation, it has seen put writers moving from 10,200 to 10,300 and gradually now towards 10,500. So that would now act as a key momentum support. And the way it has formed a doji over last 3 trading sessions where the open and high has been, the open and close has been the same level, I believe that market will soon take a directional trend where while hitting on 640, the momentum can continue at 700 levels on the upside.
Okay.
All right. That's Amit's view on the markets. Sameet, good morning to you as well. How are you viewing trade, especially considering the rollovers activity and what you can expect with respect to the next series coming in for the benchmark indices?
See, as far as benchmark index is concerned, we believe that for a time being there's a range 10,495 on the low side, so 10,500, and on the higher side 10,640, which acted as a strong resistance yesterday also. So as long as Nifty remains within this range, one should avoid trading index. One should concentrate more on individual stocks that are providing better trading opportunities. And we believe that in case of surpassing 10,640 also, we don't expect major movement in upward direction as well. 10,700, 10,750, these are the next levels to watch out for, where we believe that some kind of selling pressure is likely to resume. So as far as direction view is concerned, we remain slightly cautious, and any relief rally from current level would be an opportunity to exit your longs. And on the low side, once Nifty slips below 10,490, we could see resumption of down move, and in that case we can see this move getting extended probably to 10,200 also. So as far as this expiry is concerned, we expect Nifty to continue gyrating within this range of 150 point, wherein on the higher side 10,640 would be a resistance and 10,490 would act as a support.
Okay, that's the view coming in on Nifty. But before I get to the option strategies and other strategies, Amit, you've been giving a long call on Nifty IT at least for the last 3 weeks. You've categorically stated that you've been advising your clients, and that's been a positional call. Let's not forget, today is the day there is some profit booking which has been seen. Tell us, are you still maintaining that call? Because if I'm not mistaken, you had a target of almost 15,000 in Nifty IT on the upside.
Right. So I still have a positive bias. It's just right now taking a breather. I believe any dip towards 13,600 on the index will be again a re-entry point where positionally the index can move towards 14,500, 15,000 gradually. If you see in the F&O space as well, Nifty IT has seen an open interest surge of almost 110%.
Right.
I don't recollect when it was last seen in the Nifty IT space. So definitely there is a lot of concentration which has been played in the option segment also. Across the stock specific level, despite in fees poor numbers, we saw the stock behaving resilient and bounced back quickly.
Correct.
TCS, as we discussed last time, that it can be a soon $100 billion company. So that was touched yesterday. So I believe that overall the front lines will lead the space, followed by selective mid caps which are looking quite strong. Except for Wipro, I believe all the IT stocks are in a very good horizon where they can also test 10 to 15%.
So would you advise taking any position on any dip in Nifty IT, what we're seeing today?
Yes, so in case if it manages to come somewhere around 13,500, 600, it would be a good re-entry point.
Okay.
I would wait for some time, let the index or the overall stock stabilize, take a breather, and wait for some retracement to re-enter the positions.
Okay.
All right, so, well, interesting moves coming in as far as the Nifty IT index is concerned. Certainly has seen a substantial increase in volumes as well over the past week or so. With that said, let's head across to the options corner, and this is where we get you exclusive option strategies from our experts. Sameet, keeping in mind the view that you have for the benchmark indices, how would you deal and employ options to play on something like a Nifty?
No, to be honest, I would certainly avoid trading options in index because I expect some kind of consolidation. But at the same time, if Nifty surpasses its hurdles, we could see some kind of momentum. So as of now, I'm unsure of it whether in next couple of days Nifty would surpass this level or not. So at this juncture, I would avoid trading option in index and rather. As I said, I would rather focus on individual stocks and that are providing better opportunities. So if I have to trade options, then I would rather look for some interesting option bet in stocks.
Okay, and I think that stock, Sameet, is Yes Bank?
Yes, after a long consolidation, the stock is now showing some encouraging signs. It is now breaking out from its important hurdle, which is 320. So we are seeing good longs getting built in this counter, as well as at the same time 320 calls seeing some unwinding. So that clearly indicates the stock is heading towards 330, 335 over the next few days. So 320 call option trading somewhere on 8.5 rupees. So one can go long. Risk reward is quite favorable. Keep a stop loss somewhere around 5, and as I said, we expect Yes Bank to move towards 335. In that case, you could see a decent appreciation. Target would be 16 rupees.
Okay, so Sameet is avoiding any option strategy on the index, but instead he's given an option strategy on a stock option that's on Yes Bank. He's suggesting to buy the 320 call. Moving on, I think Amit has a long straddle on Nifty, but before we discuss that, here's what it means. A long straddle is when one buys an at the money call and put in anticipation of increase in volatility, and actually when the volatility increases followed by expansion in option premium, the strategy becomes profitable. Amit, over to you. Take us through your long straddle on Nifty.
So as you mentioned during the start of the show that VIX index has been hovering on the lower band. So the IVs are cheaper, the options are cheaper at these levels. Considering last 3 trading sessions, Nifty has formed doji. So I believe that there can be some kind of a trigger as we move ahead towards the expiry, where volatility can play a major role. And violating on either side this kind of a strategy will be a better payoff, where the total cost of buying a 10,600 call and put would be roughly around 75, 78 points. One can keep a strict stop loss of 50 odd points and look for a target towards 120, 125 on the higher side.
So that's the expiry strategy, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so that's the Nifty long straddle coming in. Let's also start by taking, some trading calls from our experts. So, Amit, coming back to you, what are you recommending with respect to stock futures?
So my first idea is on buying Asian Paints. The stock has taken a multiple support around 1100 odd band, and from there it has witnessed a bounce back. Looking at the overall open interest concentration also, we have seen long bats playing in this counter. On the downside now, for Asian Paints, 1150, 1155 is a very good support. And I believe the moment it starts sustaining decisively above 1180, which it is doing right now, I believe the stock potentially can head towards 1230, 1240 levels on the upside. My other idea is a buy on Apollo Tyres. So since morning we have seen, and over last couple of weeks we have seen that overall the tire stocks have seen very good concentration bet in the open interest as well as in the volume segment on the cash side. So Apollo Tyres is among the all the 3 tire stocks can see a very good move from here. The stock has taken some kind of a breather by trading in the band of 300 to 290 odd. On the downside, 285 is a very good support, and one can expect a target of 310 to 315 in short term.
All right.
Okay, those are some calls coming in for Apollo Tyres as well as Asian Paints. Sameet, you too have 2 long calls in terms of stock futures for today's session.
Yes, pharma seems to be showing early signs of bottoming out, and this is what we have been anticipating since last 1.5 months. Our preferred picks within this space was Sun Pharma, Vocard and Glenmark. So at this juncture, if I have to take a risk reward wise a particular stock, then I would certainly go with Glenmark, which has broken out from its important hurdle of late. So I would expect this stock continuing this rally at least towards 621, which is our near-term target. One can go long at current level, keep a stop loss somewhere on 576. Our other call would be MCX. Since 700, we have been quite upbeat on this stock, and it has already given a massive recovery. At this juncture also, we believe that the stock is clearly poised to surpass 800 mark. So one can go long, keep a stop loss somewhere around 778, and our immediate target would be around 834.
Well, it's very interesting that Sameet spoke about some of these pharma names, because we've seen a little bit of a recovery even yesterday, where we had some gains coming in, the names such as Lupin, Sun Pharma, as Sameet mentioned, as well as something like Dr. Reddy's. And I'm really curious about whether or not we can see an uptick in the entire sector. But Dr. Reddy's in today's day of trade is looking at some action there. It's building on the gains that it saw yesterday, up 2%, and there is also an increase in open interest in the April futures. So we're looking at another 8% increase there as well. So we're currently trading at around 2200. I'm not certain what kind of impact earnings can make, but Amit, keeping expiry in mind, can we expect this counter to move? And in that case, what levels can we keep an eye on when it comes to Dr. Reddy's?
So definitely it is showing some pullback triggers. It is forming a good support base around 2130 odd mark. I believe considering the expiry week, it can see some strong rolls coming to the next series, where it can the price can head towards 2220, 2230 ahead of Thursday's expiry.
Right.
Even Vocard is very, very active. Not only today, I remember last Friday also this counter had a good session of nearly with gains of 4 to 5%. As we speak, Vocard is up 4 to 5%. I mean, anything here?
So frankly, in the entire pharma space, my maximum comfort is with Biocon.
Okay.
The stock has been consistently outperforming the entire space. It has been making a higher top, higher bottom formation since after a consolidation around 350 odd band, and has now trading around 650 odd. So I believe if one has to play a bet in the pharma space, I would bet with Biocon. The stock has a good support around 620 odd, and I see positionally one can look for a target of 720, 730 levels on the upside.
All right. Well, there you have it. That's the view on the pharmaceutical space. And with that, we quickly move across and address some of our viewer queries. And the first query is on the phone line. If I'm not mistaken, we have Sandeep Pawar on the call. Hi, Sandeep. Can you hear me? Thanks for joining us. Tell us, what would you like to know from our experts?
So I bought Federal Bank futures 1 lot at 100 rupees. So I would like the advice whether I should hold on to it or just close my position.
All right, so I'm going to take this query to Sameet. Well, he is holding Federal Bank futures. He's bought them at 100. Let's take a look at where Federal Bank is currently trading at, around 97.90, but that's a spot price. And we're looking at, slight increase in open interest in the May futures. In the April futures, of course, are currently trading at 98. Sameet, should he hold on? Should he roll over his position, or should he book losses?
With a medium-term view, we are quite upbeat on this mid-size private banking names, Federal Bank, KDK Bank. But with a near-term, we expect some kind of consolidation. Recently, we saw decent recovery in Federal Bank from low levels of 88, 90, and since last couple of weeks, this stock has been consolidating. Wherein on the higher side, 100, 102 has been acting as a very strong resistance. In last couple of weeks, the stock has attempted nearly 3 to 4 times to surpass this 100 level of 100, 101. But on every occasion, we saw decent profit booking happening. So for next couple of days, 100 and 101, these are the next levels to watch out for. If this stock manages to surpass this level and sustain above that, then you can definitely roll it over, and in that case, we could see the stock heading towards 106, 108. But if that doesn't happen, then I think he should exit this position.
All right, that's the view coming in from Sandeep on Federal Bank, a counter which is trading just with gains of 0.5%. Let's move on and take our next query. This one comes on YouTube. Jatin Agarwal writes to us, he's got Nifty 10,700 call strike, which he purchased with a premium of 10 rupees. And I believe that premium has fallen down to levels of 6.5 as we speak. And if the markets continue to stay around the current levels, probably because of time value of money as we approach the expiry for April series on Thursday, this could even fall further. What would you advise Amit? What would you advise Jatin to do, Amit?
So definitely, as you rightly mentioned, that there is always a fear of time value losing on the option premium. If we see Nifty, since the time it has fallen from 11,171 to almost 9950 odd, the 61.8 retracement comes around 10,700. So that becomes as a key resistance for the market, which I believe it will spend some time. It will not be easy for index to take off 700 so soon. So definitely 700, playing a position over there would not be advisable at this juncture. However, if he's playing a long bet for considering the expiry week, he can play at the money strike, which is 10,600 with a stop loss at 10,525.
So would you sell the 10,700 call in that case?
IVs are very cheap. I mean, considering IVs at 12, 13, you don't get any lucrative gain on that.
Right.
So in fact, I don't see, and it's trading around 6-7 points odd.
Just for the benefit of our viewers here, could you explain what IV is? It's implied volatility, but how do you decide IVs are cheap, expensive on call or put side?
So basically, you benchmark it with your historical volatility, which is over the last 52 weeks. You consider that what is the ideal range. So if you see for Indian market, Nifty, ideal range for IV is somewhere between 11.5 to 13 on a lower band.
Right.
And anything above 18, we have already seen the market is coming in the limelight of uncertainty. So 13 to 18 is a comfort band where pricing, you get some momentum on the bullish side. And above 18, we see that there is more of a fear index which starts moving in. So anything above 18 as an IV, writing of an option becomes more comfortable, where you know that on account of IV, the Vegas are higher on the options. So your premiums are trading slightly expensive.
So if IVs are on the higher side, it makes sense to write options on both sides?
Sense. Yeah, it makes more sense. So definitely your bet is also quite high, because IVs being higher, that means your volatility play will be more on either side. So writing of an option always for investor needs to be cautious. The risk is unlimited.
And the current scenario is IVs are lower because the VIX has fallen, right? Okay, got it.
All right. I think, Sameet, before we can let you go, let's address one other query. And this one comes on YouTube from Pratik Rao. He says, he's bought the TCS 3800 call, May expiry, and paid a premium of 20. And it's currently trading at 13, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. And he asks if he should add one more lot and hold and average the price, or should he exit this particular position? What's your view on TCS currently, Sameet? Because 3800 is still far away from current market levels. What would you advise Pratik Rao should do?
Yes, that's quite far. I think you should look for strike prices somewhere around 3500, 3600. So I would rather ask him to switch his position from 3800 to either 3500 or 3600, and don't average it right now. Let this particular counter consolidate a bit, or else let it gives a decent dip probably toward 3300, and that would be an opportunity to again add on to it, but not at current level.
All right, Sameet, we'll let you go on that note. Thanks a lot for joining us today and taking us through your views in the F&O market and also giving us your top trading ideas. Let me take one more query. On YouTube, Pratik Rao writes to us, he's got Bank Nifty 25,500 call option, and that's for the May expiry, which he's bought at a hefty premium of 310 rupees. He's not mentioned which weekly expiry it is, but I'm presuming it'll be the last Thursday of the May series. He wants to know, should I hold or exit? Amit, what would you advise him to do? 25,500 call strike, May expiry, bought at 310, and I guess the current premium is 266.
Right. So overall, I believe that Bank Nifty will continue to underperform Nifty. Majorly, we have seen over the last couple of weeks, PSU banks completely not performing, and it is witnessing profit booking or short additions in the F&O space. So Bank Nifty will be under pressure. 25,500 would be still a far strike price. I would wait for some confirmation. Once it starts sustaining about 25,200, that is where I'll get some comfort for Bank Nifty on upside towards 25,600. So at this point, I would wait and watch.
All right, I'm going to just put in a query from my side right now as well, because we're looking at a lot of traction.
Coming out with queries.
Yes, we're looking at a lot of traction in metal stocks, you know, specifically Hindalco and Nalco. And I'm sure a lot of traders out there must have taken positions in these
Looking
stocks.
at the momentum, the positions could have been on the long side.
I reckon that some of them just may have been trapped in something like in Hindalco. So, well, Amit, if I can urge you to talk to us about what you can do with Hindalco for someone who's taken a position last week, somewhere around the levels of maybe 240, 245. What are the options now?
Well, you definitely need a brave heart to play in this kind of a situation where you have a gap up, gap down of 7%
Right.
So someone who is purely a positional trader can definitely stay intact. Overall, I believe aluminium prices are also on a upward trend.
Yeah.
It is taking a breather. We are seeing some kind of volatility across the globe in terms of some comments from across the economies.
Right.
So I believe overall the underlying across the metal space, it is still in a bullish territory. Metals are cyclical. It will take some time to spend some consolidation, and knowing the nature of the stocks are high beta, so definitely we will see intense volatility on either end. So someone who is looking for a purely positional play can keep stop loss around 215 odd, which will be slightly far because considering the volatility what it has been witnessing currently, and look for a positional target of 275 to 280 on Hindalco. So the broader structure is still positive. It is just a kind of volatility and breather which it is taking on a wider scale.
Right. Well, Agam, the prices on LME may have collapsed because of US softening their stance on the sanctions which they had issued on Rusal. But I guess the prices are still higher if you compare it to start of April to now. They're still trading with gains of 8 to 9% on monthly basis. But Amit, any interesting charts or any interesting stocks that are popping up on your screen? I know you've given me a strategy, but anything else that you want to highlight?
So I'm looking at Reliance, the stock after a good consolidation around 930 to 890 odd band is now showing some early signs of a trigger where it is taking a good supportive action around 935, and the more it holds above 945, 950 odd mark, I believe it can retest its recent high which it had made around 990 odd levels. So that's a stock which is important. Another is the Bata, the stock as I have been mentioning that consumption in FMCG space definitely needs to be looked at. The way it triggered on Friday during the closing hours of trade, it has seen very good surge in the open interest. Positionally, I believe Bata can test 870, 900 levels, which is close to 10 to 12% from here on. The risk reward looks very much favorable. Someone who is a positional trader can play with 770, 765 as a stop loss. And and the more it sustains above 800 level, I think the stock will back in momentum.
All right. So on a positional basis, of course, that means another 90 points from here in Bata.
Apologies to my producer. She's asking me to wrap up the show, but I want to squeeze in one stock, Amit. It's been inching higher. I think today's the 6th straight day or 5th straight day. Max Financial, it's up another 3.5% after a stellar run seen in last 2 sessions. Would you, if somebody had taken a long position, what should be the target? Should they continue holding it?
So definitely after seeing the fall it has seen from 600 to 400 odd level, it is facing some kind of a retracement, though the rally has been quite strong with good volumes. But I would advise that someone who has a position to utilize this rally to exit the position, because it is still positionally, structurally, it is still time to get into the comfort zone, which is far above 580 level.
All right, there you have it. Just some views coming in on some spurts that we've seen. But we've run out of time on this show, so I'm going to have to wrap. I'm going to also thank Amit for joining us and taking us through his views, as well as helping some of our viewers with their queries. But with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the F&O Show. But don't go anywhere. Lots more lined up, so stay tuned in a blue one.